Hey, it's Liz at Book Learning. Welcome back. Today I'm in Justice Park, formerly known as Jackson Park, and I want to talk to you about Doc and Epitaph by Mary Doria Russell. I read Doc last year. It is the first, and I would consider this a duology, about the Earps and Doc Holliday, the famed Western gunslingers and law officers. And Doc Holliday was also a dentist. The book Doc tells the story of the growing relationship between the Earps, particularly Wyatt and Morgan Earp, and Doc Holliday, when Doc Holliday moves west in search of relief from his tuberculosis. And the action takes place mostly in Dodge. Epitaph is basically a continuation of the story. At this point, they've moved to Tombstone, Arizona, and Epitaph tells the story of the shootout at the OK Corral. Both of these are really good Western action summer type reads. They're chunkers, but I think Russell does a really amazing job of making sure that while it's clear she's done her detailed historical research on these subjects and characters and settings and times, the characters and their motivations are really what draws you in and through the stories, respectively. You don't have to read one to read the other, which is great because it means you can pick up Epitaph before or after you read Doc, or you don't have to read both of them at all. You can just read one. I picked up Doc last summer because I wanted to read Epitaph, and I didn't get to Epitaph until this summer, so things were not fresh in my mind, but I still was able to follow everything, and she gives you the information that you need in a way that's not like beating you on the head. It just reads very naturally. I highly recommend these. It's just such a good swashbuckling adventure story. The one thing that I would caution you about is it's not action. It is, but it isn't. Especially in Epitaph. The shootout at the OK Corral was like 30 seconds, and in Epitaph, she constantly reminds you and lures you along with small details or questions about what really happened at the OK Corral. But the shootout itself is super, super short. So don't expect to read 100 pages narrating the smallest actions of the 30-second experience. That's not going to happen. Instead, you get all the confusing, complex details that lead up to that moment. I highly recommend these books. The only thing that stands out to me as odd was like the last portion of Epitaph, where she changes from like a narrative fiction, historical fiction approach to kind of like the researcher's intrigue, but she gives you fair warning. She writes at the end of a section far along in Epitaph, if you want the story to wrap up nicely, stop here. And then the rest of the book, not a ton of pages, but a significant chunk of the book, it changes from following this like moment in time to following Wyatt Earp and Josephine Marcus, his lover, at the end, to the ends of their lives. And you basically just follow Wyatt Earp being hounded and haunted by the shootout at the OK Corral for the rest of his life. But as it's told through like a researcher's experience of figuring out that a lot of the accounts of the shootout at the OK Corral are wrong and sensationalized, and then eventually are used to great effect in Hollywood in the era of the Western. So, but I would highly recommend both of these books, Doc and Epitaph. Please read them at some point next summer, or squeeze them in before the end of this summer. And yeah, thanks. See you around.